Well, thank you, Chairman. I appreciate that. And thank you for being here. I know this has been a long day. I am the junior most senator, so you know I go last. But ever since I got here, and it's been a whole week, I get told two things when I rush up to my fellow senators. Number one, are you Senator Britt? And number two, you know the Senate is a body that is deliberative and calm. And I'm anything but. So I don't know how the next couple years is going to look, but I hope that they'll bear with me. Serving as the AG over the last 4 years, I've seen a lot of things out of these agencies that I never thought we'd see in the United States of America. I know my fellow attorneys general around the nation would agree with me. In fact, some of them are here today to support you. I'd love to introduce them if they'll stand up. The Attorney General from South Carolina, the former Utah Attorney General, Sean Reyes. I'm sorry, Alan Wilson, I didn't say your name, South Carolina AG, and Louisiana AG, Liz Merrill. They joined me. Thank you for being here. They joined me in signing on to a letter supporting your nomination, and we did that while I was still the Attorney General over a week ago. They came here today to support you, and Mr. Chairman, I know that you've been referencing a lot of letters that you've been entered into evidence. I'd like this to be entered into the record. Sorry, I'm talking like a trial lawyer. With consent, please, sir. This is signed by 24 states' attorneys general that support the nomination of Mr. Patel. One of the things that I have been most upset about is watching federal agencies take more and more and more power and step all over the dual sovereignty of state and local law enforcement and investigations and prosecutions. I know you, like me, served in both the state criminal justice system and the federal criminal justice system. I was a federal prosecutor, a state judge, and a state attorney general, and I know you crossed over those jurisdictions. Do I have your commitment as the director of the FBI that you will respect dual sovereignty of the federal government, the FBI, to pursue its investigations of federal laws, and respect local and state law enforcement pursuing violations of their own laws, even when there may be overlap of investigations?
Senator, not only do you have my commitment, if you may, for the first time ever, the National Sheriff's Association has endorsed the nominee to be the director of the FBI. 3,100 sheriffs, deputies across the country have endorsed me for one reason, I think, primarily, because I'm committed to local level law enforcement in state jurisdiction. Washington, D.C. cannot fix the problems of this country, but everyday cops can and do it every single day. And so if I'm confirmed as FBI director, we're going to work with local law enforcement because they're going to tell us what they need, and we're going to give them everything we can. But we are not going to trample on local law enforcement because they're the ones keeping our communities safe just as much as anyone here.
The citizens of Florida will be happy to hear that, as well as Americans. As you know, after the second assassination attempt, which took place in the state of Florida, against a Florida resident, now President Donald Trump, many people were surprised that that could happen in just over 2 months. Many people were shocked that a would-be assassin could get that close to a president after it had just happened so quickly. So needless to say, many Americans, and certainly Floridians, demanded a transparent and accountable investigation of that second assassination attempt. I was tasked, along with law enforcement in Florida, to pursue that investigation. And every step of the way, federal law enforcement, the FBI specifically, and the attorneys, federal attorneys, frustrated our efforts, told us we couldn't go on the crime scene, they wouldn't share evidence, they suggested that we would be violating the law if we pursued our own investigation, even in the face of us telling them and informing them that a 6-year-old girl almost died as a result of state and local law enforcement having to shut down the roads to pursue that would-be assassin, and I'm not going to use his name. In an unprecedented action, because of these frustrated efforts, I, as the Attorney General of Florida, had to sue the DOJ and Merrick Garland because they refused and obstructed our ability to prosecute and investigate our own laws against one of our own citizens, even in the face of such distrust. of the FBI who was pursuing an investigation against the victim himself. So at a time when you have data that shows that Americans' trust in the FBI is at its lowest point in history, when the FBI is not trusted by local and state law enforcement, can you think of a better time for the FBI to say, yes, Florida, investigators, come in, let's work this together, not to the detriment of the investigation, but in a collaborative effort? Can you think of a better time to have done that rather than hide beside some law that they said prevented us from moving forward with our own investigation?
Senator, off the top of my head, I can't, but let me just say this. Law enforcement is not supposed to be territorial. Law enforcement is not supposed to be a turf battle. Law enforcement is best done in this country when it is complementary, and it should have been done in that instance.
Do I have your commitment? Now, mind you, I'd like to enter into evidence the complaint that we filed against Merrick Garland, the complaint for declaratory and injunctive relief. This was a result of the FBI obstructing our investigation at every turn. Do I have your commitment that as soon as you are confirmed, which I believe you will be, that you will address this suit, interface with the investigators and the lawyers in Florida, and begin cooperating with us so that we might pursue justice for that little girl?
Absolutely, Senator.
And I'll just finally end with, yes, I have had a lot of work experiences, as you have, working on the front lines with law enforcement to go after those violating laws, but I am also the wife of a law enforcement agent, federal, now local. We need somebody at the helm that understands the mission is to stand on that line between good and evil, between crime and chaos. There is no other mission. And we trust that you're going to right-size this agency and set it back on course. And I am proud to support you.
Thank you, Senator.